Hello and welcome to News Desk. I am Emefa Akosiadeti. Coming up this morning, government to revoke controversial portions of legislative instrument 2462, which paved the way for mining in Ghana's forest reserves.
After the process, I engage the ranking on subsidiary and legislation. Honorable Patrick Buama, I engage the leadership, and we will be laying it pretty soon.
We've got more here on a desk. Stay. Also, allowing willing parents to pay for the award senior higher education. Asantene stokes fire on free SHS.
Free senior high school
We are indeed rolling out the free SHS, but if we brainstorm and realize students will have to go to school and be asked to return home because there is no food, then it is of no use.
And on Crumbling Start series, we'll take you to Sachilbo DA Primary School, where students lie on the floor in overcrowded classrooms to learn.
We are 3 professional teachers in the school here. With that number, we divided the classes, the grades into 3, because we want each level should also have something. So one of the problems is the classes are not even enough.
We've got these plus business updates on our desk. Do stay for details. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, first, government is expected to follow through on its promise to revoke controversial portions of legislative instrument LI 2462, which paved the way for mining in Ghana's forest reserves. This decision follows revelation in Parliament that nearly all of the country's forests and water bodies are being plundered by unarmed illegal miners. Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, Dr. Murtala Mohammed, says Parliament's leadership has fast-tracked the process, with the amendment expected to be laid before the House by Wednesday.
We actually started the process. I engaged the ranking on subsidiary and legislation. Honorable Patrick Buama, I engaged the leadership, and we will be laying it pretty soon. So what happened, because of the budget, we had a discussion. We agreed that we are not going to have a pre-laying, because it is just an amendment of that portion that we are doing. So we don't need pre-laying, because we knew that if we were to engage in pre-laying, it was going to take a longer time. So we agreed when I spoke with Honorable Patrick Buama. And then, well, I'm not in the position to determine whether the security, situation is enough for us to do so. The people clothed with the capacity to do that is the leadership of the security agencies. But if indeed the security agencies deems it fit for us to declare a state of emergency, why not? But one thing I can say is that it's a fight we will not relent. We will fight it, and we will not spare anybody who is participating directly or indirectly in the destruction of our water bodies and the habitat and the environment we live in.
Of Wednesday, let's engage further on this conversation. Dr. Abdul Wadud Momin, Senior Lecturer, Department of Sustainable Mineral Resource Development, School of Mines, University of Energy and Natural Resources. Doc, thank you for joining us this morning. Generally, the conversation around illegal mining has taken the center stage, especially at the end part of the previous government up until the beginning of this year. Now, this current government is promising that it will revoke this particular LI. But generally, this current government, what would you say is their posture on the conversation around illegal mining?
Thank you very much. Good morning to your viewers and listeners. And let me also use the opportunity to wish all Muslims in the country Ramadan Kareem. So far, so good. This is a positive step the government has taken so far. Towards the end of last year, as you have reiterated, it was a general call, a nationwide call and appeal that the previous government should repeal this act, this LI, and withdraw allowing mining in forest areas. In any case, to what effect was that supposed to be? illegal mining is actually unregulated mining. Nobody has given permission for illegal miners to evade forest areas to mine. So withdrawing the LI in any case has no effect on illegal mining. It doesn't really address illegal mining. But in any case, and we would be happy to hear that the other laws. Let me inform everybody in this country that this is not the only LI, that allows mining in forests. This is the popular one, and this one was passed just to please EPA, to give EPA certain assumed rights and responsibility over also having a regulation on mining in the country. But there are other existing laws. The law that allows the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to actually give licenses to approve concessions for companies and other interested parties to mine, allows the minister, if you go deep into the LI, you'd come to find that the law allows the minister to grant mining concession in mining areas, in forest areas. So repealing this LI alone is not enough. Let's dig into the other laws that actually warrant mining in this country. We'll find that indeed, even the Forest Act also allows to some extent mining in forest areas. Has this come to our attention? So let me throw this out to everyone that this only addresses EPA side of the matter, and that actually had no visible effect on illegal mining, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And for that reason, repealing this law doesn't really address illegal mining. Let's also consider instances where we do not really have laws that would actually punish sponsors of illegal mining. We don't have any law in that regard. Should we be considering such laws? One other thing is the LI that was passed, the Mining Act 703, which was actually amended in 2019, is supposed to be amended every 5 years. Since 2019 to date, that act has not also been amended. And you would recall that when we came to the issue of this lithium, and as of now, even the contract is still in Parliament, hasn't been ratified by Parliament, because Parliament needs to be clear in its mind that it's taking the right decision in the interest of the country. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is that we do not have a lithium law. We don't have laws that would consider our interest in the emerging critical minerals across the globe. Yet, we have failed to repeal the Mining 703, which was supposed to be repealed last year, which was its 5th year. And so, taking this one up alone, you need to read all the laws together in accumulation before you come to understand that, look, we have very hidden laws that allow mining in forest, not just this one that appeals to the interests of EPA.
Right. Right. Hang in there. I'd go to John Darko. He's lawyer and MP for Swami, also lawyer for the minority in Parliament. Thank you for joining us, Mr. John Darko. But again, what is really the minority's position on this particular LI that the minister has been promising will be at least laid in Parliament by Wednesday? What's your position on that?
Well, okay, good morning to your viewers. I think that in this country, sometimes we make a lot of noise. Repealing this particular law is much ado about nothing. I think the NDC, in the run-up to the 2024 general election, made a lot of promises that they will repeal this law within 120 days. So they are in a hurry to, as it were, repeal it. But for us, laws are made to be amended and to be repealed. The law which was passed in, the LI which was passed in 2022, this is about 2.5 years ago, was not to give blanket, license to people to mine in forest areas. No, look, we know the problems we've had with Galamsey for all these years. It is not the LI 2462 that brought Galamsey into this country. The problem they should be looking at is those people who are engaging in the destruction of our forest cover and our water bodies across the country. Those who are engaging in the destruction are not those who have been permitted to mine in the forest areas. In fact, when it comes to illegal mining, like your earlier contributor said, it has nothing to do with the law. Those who are violating the law, they don't care whether they have the permit to enter into a forest cover or not. And so, look, this law they are talking about, we haven't seen it. The amendment, we haven't seen it. I'm on the Environment and Science Committee. I haven't seen it. In fact, it's supposed to come also to the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, which I am a member. I haven't seen it. And so, honestly speaking, I don't know how the minister is going to lay this the amendment he's talking about yesterday, tomorrow, or today. In fact, when I read your portal, I got the impression that it was going to be late today. I have spoken with the chairman of the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. He's not aware of this so-called amendment or repeal. I don't even know what it is. We have no idea. But you see, because of the politics we've done in this country, they are just trying to fulfill something that we are going to repeal LI 2462.
He did indicate that because of the debates on the budget in Parliament, it's stalled slightly. But far from that, whether the timelines is not really what he indicated, my concern really would be to inquire from you, for this particular airline, what would you rather? And I ask this because of your very background on the environment and the natural resources in this country. What would you rather? Because I get the sense that repealing, revoking, amending this particular law is not the entire solution to the fight against illegal mining. But what would you rather to this particular airline? Because this particular airline has come under great criticism from the time it was passed up until late last year. What would you rather?
No, so this is my position. If it's repealed and it's going to help us solve the Galamsey problem, or for it, 100%. Look, the NDC has majority in Parliament, no doubt. Whatever law they want passed, it will be passed. But the question we need to ask ourselves, any amendment or any law we make must necessarily cure a mischief. What is the mischief the repeal or the amendment or the revocation, as we say, going to, cure? What kind of mischief is it going to cure? That is the most fundamental question every lawmaker should ask. But is it going to stop Galamsey? I'm all for it. Because this is a major problem we need to resolve in this country. So if they're able to tell us that the repeal in itself will solve Galamsey problem, look, I will become one of the proponents of the repeal.
But what do you envisage? What do you, if you put 2 and 2 together, what do you envisage? The repeal of it, how much impact will it be on illegal mining in this country?
None. So I believe that what we can do to look, let me tell you my personal opinion. I believe that what can help us fight this Galamsey is for the two political parties to sit down, the leadership of the two political parties. I'm in Parliament. I really want us to sit down and agree that when it comes to Galamsey or fight against illegal mining, we will all play from the same hymn book. We will all sing from the same hymn book. That there will be no debate. That when it comes to Galamsey, what NPP and NDC will say will be the same. Because otherwise, at any point in time, one political party will try to take advantage of the situation. And therefore, the NDC, they did it in 2020. When NPP and the Nadu tried to put his government on the line, the NDC played politics with it and gained, in fact, a lot of votes and seats in 2020. In 2024, they did the same, organized a lot of demonstrations trying to tell the whole Ghana that they are ready to protect the environment and all of that. When you do that and win political power, it becomes difficult for the losing party to now come and support your cause, because the losing party also want to use the same platform to fight your cause. So what we need to do, the two political parties, let us say that, look, this is a major national issue. Let us sit down and let's all write whatever we want to do. We should play or sing from the same hymn book, that this is what we want, NPP, NDC. So when NDC is doing it, NPP will praise NDC. And when NPP comes to power and NPP is doing the same thing, NDC will praise NPP. So that once we are singing from the same hymn book, there will be no doubt that this is the national policy we are going after. But when it comes to political and partisan, like they are trying to look, they're fighting against Galamsey, will be so difficult.
help me a little here. Maybe, perhaps, we've maybe interpreted that particular regulation quite wrongly, that the LI 2462 that allows people to mine in forest reserves. In its real sense, is that what it means? Or the people that brought up that regulation had a different meaning to it, that we have imputed a different meaning to it? Or it has just been the implementation of that particular LI? I just want a bit of education.
What it is that the law gives the minister the opportunity. Say the minister may. And so actually, it doesn't give blanket permit to anybody to go into forest cover to go and mine. So, in fact, if you look at the law, it gives a lot of protection to the mining, the forest area. You understand? One of the features of the law is to set up a steering committee that oversees and approves the committee that grants the mining license. They set up a local liaison group, and then also they look at the area. You're not supposed to take some equipment into the particular forest area, because some equipment will go and destroy. So within a certain radius, you cannot even take some equipment there. And that the minister will have to give approval. In fact, the intent was for the place to be really regulated. That when we give you license to mine in the forest area, the LI will make it so regulated that in the end you will protect the forest rather than destroying the forest. That is what the law intended to do. But like any law in this country, once the law is passed, people just go out there and violate it, especially when it comes to implementation. Look,
many stakeholders have suggested that the current government should, in fact, at the time or previously, there was a call that the government should declare a state of emergency. Are you for that? Will you be for that?
I will be for that. Look, me, I'm telling you, anything that will protect the environment, I will protect. I will support. Let us do that, declare the emergency, and ensure that no mining activity goes on until we are sure that we will protect the environment. Look, why? The NDC, when they were in opposition, made that call. I don't think that the situation has changed. If it isn't at all, it has gotten worse. That they don't need the prompting of anybody to declare state of emergency. Look, if you look at one of their policies, what they call the Blue Water Initiative, I am all for it. If we declare state of emergency to ensure that we get blue water, why not? So if we really committed to ensuring this blue water initiative, then I believe that at this point, state of emergency is what we all need. As for the law, we have so many laws. We are not implementing them properly, especially when it comes to fight against galamsey. So repealing this particular one will not mean anything. What we have, even from the Act 707 amendment, we can fight galamsey. Let's go out there and hold this bull by the horn and fight it and stop this political gimmicks. I believe that declaring state of emergency at this point would be a call in the right direction.
I will have you hang in there just slightly for me, and I'll go to Dr. Momen. I'm sure that you have heard the legislator. He's also a lawyer. But let me take your view on what he says about the declaration of a state of emergency, and also on the new initiative, the Blue Water Initiative, where we understand that some persons have been trained to be river guards, I should say. What really can this play? You have mentioned that just repealing the LI is not enough. If I hear Mr. John Darko as well, it is almost as though that is also not enough. But for this particular initiative, which is part of the promise that the current government gave in the 120 social contract, does it also play? Imagine we're repealing the LI. This initiative is also ongoing. For you as a lecturer who's done a lot of research in this area, will this matter at all?
Thank you very much. I've already indicated to you my position on that the repealing of the law doesn't really have any impact on the fight against galamsey. In any case, who regulated and allowed the illegal miners in the forest areas? I completely agree with Honorable John Darko. I was even expecting government to have declared a state of emergency right from when the minister was sworn in, and also right from when the transition period was over. Indeed, it is something that is actually fundamental in this case. I make a case, a reference to the case of the Chinese in 2009, 2010, when the Chinese then president needed to fight illegal mining in China. He declared a state of a state of emergency in all illegal mining areas. And that has made China very successful in fighting illegal mining. And that is the transfer of that kind of activity that we find Chinese proliferating around the forest areas doing illegal mining. If you can declare a state of emergency, that will help a lot. Now, go to the issue of the water guards, river guards. Look, I believe that I want to appeal that those who advise the minister and His Excellency the President in these matters should think thoroughly through some of these decisions. This is unsustainable, highly unsustainable. It will have a lot of impact on the economy. Who is sponsoring that? For how long will that be sponsored? Who is going to pay all the river guards? And do we actually need river guards on the river systems? Look, who will pay the bill? We have a bill to settle. And we have always requested and proposed that, look, we need to deploy RPAs, remotely piloted aircrafts, that can be manned by just a handful of people, very few people. And if security are determined and are really ready for the job, they only need to be prompted and given the direction. Also, look, I saw a couple of weeks ago that a committee was set up by the Honorable Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to advise in many areas. And I found the committee end up visiting that on a fact-finding mission to illegal mining areas. All of these, I do not really see results coming out of that. We have all the low-hanging evidence, pieces of evidence to patch together, and we have all the technologies that can be used to advise security deployment at near real time in fighting and also evicting illegal miners along the river bodies. The previous government went ahead to procure a whole lot of boats for this purpose, and these were docked, packed at the barracks and never used. This government has come into use saying, I appeal humbly that the Honorable Minister and the government should take a second look at this. It's not sustainable. Rather, I suggest that the district assemblies, districts that have illegal mining taking place, unfortunately soon we will have MMCs coming in. We also have traditional leaders already on guard. These are the cortexes that must be taken must be taking responsibility over illegal mining in this place, and they should be monitored and coordinated by central government instead of investing more on river guards. A district that entertains illegal mining should actually not be entertained in central government budgets. I've said it last Friday on TV, that these districts should not be entertained at all on central government budgets, and the people must be allowed to scrutinize the MMCEs to actually divulge whatever is on their minds and their plans towards addressing illegal mining in their districts and municipalities, in conjunction with the local authority, traditional leaders. And these must all be shamed and named. Fortunately, the uncertainty is coming up with a program at the end of the month. Next month, we hope to see that more chiefs will be installed with regards to allowing illegal mining in their villages and in their localities.
Right.
Last year, you may recall, just before I sum up, you may recall last year we gave a platform to the presidential candidates of the two major parties, which Honorable has referred to come and discuss at my university, University of Energy and Natural Resources. We have candidate Dr. Mahmoud Baumie come, we had candidate John Mahama come, and we also have even the Speaker of Parliament. We requested these three important people in the country to come together, let's sit on the round table and share ideas, and let each and every one of them discuss and share his vision with Ghanaians with regards to fighting illegal mining. I still stand by that. We need to bring the two heads together. We need to bring the two political parties, as the Honourable Member of Parliament has also called, and we also need to bring Parliament itself on board to this round table to discuss this. Then we can trickle it down to the district levels. Let all MMDCs and traditional leaders come to the discussion table and let everyone hear their commitments to fighting illegal mining instead of taking on board river guards. They are not going to make any impact, to be honest with you, to say the least.
Right. Doc, thank you for sharing your comments here. But finally, before I let Mr. John Darko go, if you look at what a state of emergency would mean, it's quite a huge impact on every government. I know that that's not your personal call. You're weighing into that call. But there's a point that says that we should point out the sponsors of illegal mining. Is that even feasible? Can we ever find people who are behind illegal mining? And I also take your comment on sustainable mining, so that it's not as though it's just the illegal mining that is contributing to the destruction of our water bodies and in our environment. There's also the concern of sustainable mining from mining companies that have real and legal instruments to be able to mine. I'd have you comment on these two.
Well, look, those who are engaging in illegal mining are known. I'm not sure anybody can tell me that we don't know the criminals in this country. We know all of them. And so if we really want to fight it, let's go after them. Look, for me, it is not a big issue. I hear people say, go after the big people. No. If you haven't found the big people and you find the small people, deal with them. Because the big people, or the so-called big men behind this galamsey, they rely on the small people. So let's go after these people. Let's make sure that whoever is caught engaging in galamsey is dealt with according to the law. Look, our problem is the favoritism in this country. That if the person found to be engaging in galamsey, especially belongs to our political party, we tend to protect those people. We cannot build our country. We need to go beyond this partisan nature of resolving issues. So for me, that's the first thing. Let's try and make sure that whoever is caught, whether it belongs to the party and government, whether it belongs to position in leadership, whoever you are, let's deal with those people. Now, why not? Mining is very important for our country. We cannot do without mining. Right. How much it contributes to our GDP. And so we need to ensure that those who are engaging in it properly protected. And I'm all for it. If it's being done properly, why not? We need to do it. But those who engage in illegality, we need to find them, we need to punish them, we need to make illegal mining, so unattractive that nobody will ever go in there. Now, as it stands now, it is so profitable. People do anything to go in. And that is the difference. If you make it so expensive who engage in galamsey, they will stop.
Mr. Darko, thank you for talking to us this morning. And thank you, Dr. Mumin, as well, for sharing your thoughts on this. We'll see how that airline, when it's laid in Parliament for repealing, will come up. But thank you both for joining us. Away from that, Asantehene Otumfuo II has called for reforms in Ghana's free senior high school program, advising government to allow parents who can afford payments of the awards education to do so. Admitting the positive impact of the policy, the Asantehene observed various challenges, including poor feeding, continue to plague the program, defeating the purpose of providing quality education. There's more in this report.
Aka schools ni bi o aka ni nyina na esi sika no e de be no so na e de na so.
The E-blocks have stalled. Funding education is a challenge, but some sectors that aren't critical could have their funds reduced to be rechanneled to the education sector to improve education. Some dormitories in the schools are still not occupied. Some schools do not have science and IT labs. Even the PTA fees are no longer available. Government should look at these challenges and address them.
School bus, ebini ho, eduane ayedi, ebini ho, na ni nyina ayehwe, ni ehun se desi che. Mo hwe ni nyina ni ehun free senior high school ayehwe, am pass ye de. We
are indeed rolling out the free SHS, But if we brainstorm and realize students will have to go to school and be asked to return home because there is no food, then it is of no use. Let us take a critical look at it. If some parents can pay, we should allow them. In the past, if you pass your exam, we check up with the BEZA to assist the brilliant but needy students. That's where we had the COCO scholarships.
COCO scholarship, those days, they are moving. Maybe you'll be to your trans, no trans or dear, who's going to interest, so you try near home. BEZA no who's a way to interest near their school administration. BEZA near their man on so called. It is our bread, they are more Kenya, and never hope. They were none of the bro for now to 2 million.
Let's expand this further. Dr. Peter Anti is Executive Director for the Institute for Education Studies, and as well Divine Claire, he's an education. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning. And Doc, so you may have heard what the Asante-Hene has said, and apart from him, many stakeholders have called for something similar for the free SHS reform that the new government wants to reinstitute. Again, and many times you have also spoken, but a day after what the Asante-Hene has said, what is still your position on the reform, especially when it comes to the free payment?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers. I think that it's important that the Asante-Hene has added his voice to the discussion on the future of the free senior high school. I know that he said this several times in the past, and he's still reiterating the point. I don't know if the committee that was set up by the Minister of Education engaged the chiefs. I don't know whether there was any engagement with the National House of Chiefs, and specifically with prominent chiefs like the Asante-Hene. But this is a way that he's also communicating to the committee, the direction that the free senior high school should take. I think that since they are wrapping up with their work, this would help them take a certain position after they have analyzed all the information that they have gathered so far from the general public. But as we have already indicated time and again, I think that the future of the free senior high school hinges on the ability to fund it. The government have made it clear that they are going to use some money from the Govt fund that is being uncapped to support the funding of the policy, and subsequently continue to fund the policy through the Govt fund. I think that the other avenues that the government can raise money to fund the policy, if the government decides that they would want parents to pay, I think that it should be a buy-in of all stakeholders, and that the discussions that have gone on through the National Education Forum it will be as a result of the discussions that have gone on through the National Education Forum. But for me, I've made it clear that it is going to be a little bit challenging for the government to ask parents to pay, especially looking at our political terrain and the implications of such decision. But whatever it is that the people prefer, based on the interactions that have been gathered from the National Education Forum, I think that should be the direction of the government in sustaining the free senior high school policy.
I'll stay with you a little further before I go to Define Dog. But for the political implications, would it have been the best option to have parents also pay?
I've made this point several times. This discussion would have been best had if we were in 2017. Okay. You see, when you are implementing a policy and implementing in a certain way, and that policy has run for 7 to 8 years now with the same model and strategy, it becomes difficult for you to make an abrupt change of the policy based on some of the things that we have already gathered. And I think that it will be a very difficult position for the government to take, even if that is what the generality of the people are asking. Ideally, you have to do the equity, you have to implement the equity principle and ensure that those who have the ability to pay, and those who do not, you support them, just like Asante said, just like the finance minister said in 2017, and most other people, I mean the former finance minister, and most other people have also said. The only problem is that we did not implement it in this way. And therefore, in going to do it this way, you will need to do you need to be more strategic so that you'll be able to get the people along with you as you implement it in that particular direction. That will take a little more time. And I think that it is not feasible in the political space for the government to do that in the immediate term.
Well, Divine, and so Dr. Anti believes that it will be quite difficult, even if the government decided that parents should at least take a portion, if not entirely, especially parents who can afford should be the ones paying. But then if the government decides to want to implement this amid all the challenges that we can foresee, how feasible can this be? And really, can we even identify which parents would be able to pay? This would mean that parents would have to elect themselves to decide that, well, I can pay for my parent, for my child or my ward. What are the chances? What would this look like if the people that have been constituted to also come up with some reforms decide to want to add this as part of the reforms? Is this feasible? Hi, Divine. Divine, if you can hear me, kindly unmute. Well, I'd go back to... okay, right, Divine. Go on. Yes.
All right. So I've heard your question, and yes, I must comment for adding his voice once again for this particular discussion. He has been consistent with his position as far as the implementation of the policy is concerned. He has in the past acknowledged that there are challenges with the policy implementation and the need for us to have a second look. So coming up again also with the position that parents that will contribute to it should also step forward to do that. I think that particular position is reinforcing what generally I have been seeing in the past, right from my participation in the National Education Forum and even post its event. I've noticed that a general position is being alluded or pushed forward by many prominent people and then Ghanaians in general. That is cost sharing. That we need to share costs as far as this policy implementation is concerned. And so what the Dr. Ufu just said is also a mean of saying, let us share the cost between parents and then government. Just that he said those who want to do it should willingly step forward to do it. And maybe that is where the challenge will be, because if you ask parents to step forward voluntarily to contribute to the fund, they are not going to do that. Because even at the inception of the policy, I recall the then government mentioning that they are open to people who want to voluntarily contribute to the policy implementation. And yet, we have never seen any voluntary contribution towards policy implementation. So it tells you that even if you want to leave it open, that parents who want to contribute or pay for their awards, who are in position to pay for their awards, should step forward to pay. Clearly, they are not going to do that unless there's a policy direction asking parents to pay. Not until we are deliberate in bringing in a policy that compels those who can pay to pay, leaving it open. I'm not sure we are going to achieve that. So I appreciate the recognition of made by the two for that there's a need for us to share costs, but we may not necessarily have to leave it open, because in the past we tried opening that those who want to contribute should do, but we've never even gotten a person. So there's a need for a policy direction for us to be able to get people that actually can pay should be able to pay towards the policy implementation. And I have always said that, look, if we are willing to do this, if we really want to get parents who want to who are in position to pay to actually do that, truly we can do that. It's not that it's out of control.
Divine and Dr. Anti, it looks like in the education sector, it's even way beyond just feeding infrastructure and all. Let me show you this and stay with me. Now, still in the education sector, at Sachilbo DA Primary School, learning is a fight against the odds. Pupils do not just lie on the floor to write. They share overcrowded classrooms where multiple grade levels are taught together due to a dire shortage of teachers, with only 2 teachers handling the entire school. Lessons are merged, making quality education nearly impossible. Hunger depicts the crisis as pupils go through the day on empty stomach with no access to school feeding program. My colleague Emmanuel Jivenu has more in this latest episode of Education series, Crumbling Start. Stay and watch.
Education, often hailed as the foundation of the future, is falling apart in this farming community. At Sechelbo DA Basic School, the earlier stages of learning have become a struggle no child should endure.
We are 3 professional teachers in the school year. With that number, we divided the classes, the grades into 3 because we want each level should also have something. So one of the problems is the classes are not even enough. So we have 3 class rooms and we have to use those classrooms. So we have divided them into 3. KG 1, 2 and basic 1 in one class. P2, P3 in another class. P4, P5 and 6. And we are handling them. We are not finding things easy. It's very difficult for us, but we are managing. Be you okay, man?
Multi-grade teaching is not a choice here. It is a necessity, one that compromises the quality of education and the future of these children.
Frankly speaking, we have not been fair. We have never been fair to these young children. The children are suffering. How can a child sit on the floor to write? Some, even we have to buy mats for them to be able to sit so that they will be a little bit clean.
The recent delivery of textbooks to Sechelbo DA Basic School offers little solace when the lack of desk leaves these books vulnerable to wear and tear.
With the textbooks, if you don't have any a sitting place, with the textbook, these children, they are young. They are not like grown up like us.
Well, looks like our problems in the education sector, it's never ending. And I still have Dr. Auntie and Divine Kpe still with me here on the desk. Gentlemen, I'm sure you have seen, and this is not a surprise to you. Dr. Auntie, I'm not too sure. In the reforms that we're looking at, which is basically on the free SHS policy, the basic and the primary as well is suffering. And I don't know what you have to say about this particular one that we have just showed you.
Yes, I think one of the things that we discussed in whole was the issue of infrastructure at the basic level. So this is a typical example of the challenges that we have at the basic level. An indication that our foundation, the foundation of education is nothing to write home about. So I believe that these issues would have to be brought to the table.
Did I lose Dr. Auntie? Divine, please pick up for me quickly. What is really the problem? Are we not implementing our plans well, or it's just that our resources and our funding is just enough? Our education sector is way larger than the amounts that are usually allocated, or what's exactly your challenge? Day in, day out, we see this and even worse.
All right, thank you. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, good. Yeah, the problem is why, of course, we do not have sufficient fund. But for me, I do not see it as generally lack of sufficient fund or inadequate funding. I see it more as our inability to embed equity of resources. That is what I see it primarily to be. Yes, we may not have enough fund in the education sector, and resources may not have actually been meeting expectation. But if the little you have, if you are unable to disperse that or utilize that equitably, then you're going to create a lot of gaps in terms of infrastructure availability in underserved and then well-resourced environments. So for me, I believe that we need to build equity in how we develop education budgets, and where we become more not this general application of education budget, where at the end of the day, if you look at it, those in the well-resourced areas are even beginning to have more than what those in underserved areas tend to have. If you look at our education financing, we spend much more on persons in rural areas than children in urban areas. And the same way we spend much more on children that are from richest household than children that are from the poorest household. So if you are able to bridge the gap, or should be able to bridge the gap, then it means you need equity model in how you
be able to bridge the, yeah. Okay. Divine, we can go on and on, especially with you when I have conversations with you on education. We can go on and on. But gentlemen, thank you for joining us. It's the start of the mini conversation in our education sector, and definitely we'll call you again. But you're watching News Desk. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, Darryl will bring us business. Please stay.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Scientists at the Crops Research Institute of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research are exploring the establishment of a network of stakeholders in a drive to mechanize agriculture. Now, agriculture, particularly farming in Ghana, is characterized by drudgery, as many farmers, including older people, work with conventional tools, hindering productivity and economic boost. Through the mechanization and work in agroecology transitions, Megawatt, farmers will have access to a chain of resources, including loan facilities to purchase mechanized farming implements for their on-field tasks. Here's more in this report.
The use of conventional farming implements continue to be a bane to agriculture development in Ghana, presenting drudgery to farmers while shying away youth participation. The Crops Research Institute explored and developed handy, mechanized tools for cultivation of various local crops. Under the Mechanization and Work in Agroecological Transitions project, scientists at the Institute are engaging stakeholders aimed at creating an ecosystem that will allow easy access to the tools once made available. This is expected to boost local production and ease the fiscal burden on farmers. Dr. Natison Amengo is the project coordinator for Megawatt.
So we are thinking of forming this ecosystem where it is not so difficult for a farmer who needs a new machine to acquire one. If you bring all of them on one platform, if somebody needs a machine, the person would call on the platform. Then we will link the person to a buyer. If the person needs repairs of the machine is already bought, we just would call on the platform. Then we will link the person to a repairer. So the idea is to find out how we can form this ecosystem and how we can manage it, because we are looking forward to a bigger meeting where we will bring the broader stakeholders. But now we are just trying to see how well we can manage. So today's meeting is just more or less like a planning meeting.
Agriculture Director at the Ajesu Municipality, Dr. David Anambam, is advocating a less costly farming implement for easy adoption.
One thing I've observed, considering previous technologies researchers have discovered and sold to farmers, one thing hindering, and we have to take note, is the cost of the technology. The cost, sometimes farmers know the benefit, but they deliberately avoid it because of the cost. Because this machine we are talking about, it could be good, they will understand the benefit, but at the end of the day, if they cannot afford, then people will shy away, no matter what you do. So something should be done to always subsidize the cost of the technology.
Some farmers and other stakeholders share their highlights on the urgent need to integrate mechanization in farming.
Yeah, you have to mechanize. That's the only way we can boost in agriculture in the country. You know, as every day we said it's a backbone. How are we doing it? Are you mechanizing it? No, you are not mechanizing it. Now look at the weather. Last year, no rain. So there should be irrigation scheme in the country. The government have to pay particular attention to agriculture sector.
The project is expected to be upskilled to reach more farmers following its implementation in the coming years. Stephen John Ayer is a research assistant on the project.
We introduced some farming tools or equipment, mechanized one, that will ease the hurdle of digging holes when it comes to planting production and also weed control. So we are implementing this as a trial, testing to know the most effective ones to rely on, and then based on that we can upscale it and create more awareness for adoption.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Now, First Bank Ghana has introduced an exclusive private banking and wealth management service designed to cater to the unique needs of high net worth individuals and families. The initiative marked a significant milestone for First Bank Ghana as it aimed to offer not only preservation of wealth but also pathways for its intelligent growth. Here's more in this report by Irab Nakwe.
First Bank Ghana Limited has officially introduced its private banking and wealth management service in Kumasi, a significant development designed to offer personalized banking experiences that cater to the unique financial needs and aspirations of high net worth individuals and families across the country. The service promises to deliver a comprehensive suite of products, including investment management, estate planning, tax advisory, and tailored credit solutions. With 130 years of experience, the bank is certain that the expertise in the banking field offers clients the privilege of working with dedicated relationship managers who are committed to understanding their individual needs and providing exceptional service. CEO of First Bank Ghana Limited, Victor Yao Asante, emphasized the need to protect wealth without being affected by inflation and depreciation.
The two key things that may affect wealth quickly are inflation and depreciation. So it means that you must always make sure you are investing in instruments and in products that protect your money or the value of your money. For example, if you have 100 cedis and you do nothing with it, at the end of the year, if the inflation or the depreciation is 30%, this is what you means you lose 30% value. But if you invest in something that gives you at least a 30%, it means you preserve value. So the idea is first to make sure you don't lose value, and secondly to make sure you get actually a very good return on it.
Idowu Thompson, Global Head and Group Executive Private Banking and Wealth Management for First Bank Nigeria, highlighted the continuous change in the economic landscape and assured they will adapt to new strategies that protect the wealth of their target audience.
Well, with a change in the economic landscape, I want to advise that yes, we're going through a period of change. Change isn't always bad. Challenges doesn't mean that it's an end in itself. We will continue to engage all opportunities.
He further explained that even though the initiative targeted high net worth individuals, it is all inclusive for anyone who sees the need to manage their finances.
Yes, we're speaking to private wealth, but it's also a lot more inclusive these days. So it's not just something that's for the super affluent or very high value people. Everybody wants to know how they can better organize their finances so that they can live their best lives.
The head of the private banking and wealth management, Catherine Eka, assured as more individuals seek personalized financial services, the bank is poised to meet personal demands and goals of clients.
Depending on what their goals and their financial plans are, you tailor-make a solution for them. So for some clients, it's about making sure that you're safeguarding their wealth for the future generations. So how do you set up a portfolio that allows them to do that, to achieve their goals? For others, it's about hedging against forex, and so how do you set up something that allows them to meet their goals? So for each client, it's a bit different. So it's really important just to know your customer and understand what their goals are.
Reporting for Joy News, Erabna Akwe, Kumasi.
Right, and that's all for business. Back to you, MFA.
Why is your voice breaking just when you thought to say back to me, MFA?
Back to you, MFA.
Have you been though? Good?
I'm good.
Good
to
thank
see
you for bringing us business. You're here at 1 p.m., right?
Yes, right after you.
Right.
Midday.
Well, thank you for joining us today on News Desk. I'm Memefa Akosia Adeti. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com, and I'll see you at 12 for News Today.